Jazz here, and I'm jiving to this episode of Transformation Animation featuring Mike Blanchard, Stephen C. Phillips, and Michael Wilson.
Hello and welcome to episode 1 of Transformation Animation Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Steve, Joe, and Mike, and joining me is Steve Megatron. Hello.
Hello.
And Pecan Court Michael. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. So what's going on with you, Steve?
Nothing really. Just got a bunch of DVDs.
Cool.
True.
Dark of the Moon came out. Steve and I have not had a chance to see it yet, but Michael, your wife surprised you this afternoon, didn't she?
She did. She did. She actually said, "Hey, we're going to see Transformers," and that's why I love her. She's the best. She really is. I didn't expect to be seeing this until Sunday at the earliest because we've got plans and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she really came through, and I saw it and I enjoyed it. It was thankfully not spoiled for me by everyone on Twitter, and I won't spoil anybody here.
Let's see. What have I been up to? The same, getting the podcast stuff going, getting MWire going back up, and getting this started. So I think that without any further ado, we're going to get into it. What we're going to be talking about today is the movie premiere, which is what they tagged it as, they promoted it as, of Transformers Animated Transform and Rollout.
Prowl, Ratchet, everyone all right? Bulkhead, Bumblebee, report!
The old spark, where is it? I grow impatient.
Artificial gravity disabled.
You're thinking, Prime, putting us on equal footing, so to speak.
Hey! Who turned off the...
Sorry, my bad.
You know what? You're even uglier from this angle. Scarier, too.
Everyone in position for a concentrated attack on my signal. Prowl, no! Wait for my signal! Okay, the decoy was a nice touch, but once again, a little warning would have helped. Would it kill you, boss, to say something like heads up, or I don't know, watch out, or incoming?
Now bring me the old spark, and I may spare your miserable Autobot lives.
That's right. It is time to synopsize, transform, and roll out. Basically, you have a small space bridge repair crew consisting of Optimus Prime, an idealistic former Autobot Academy leader, Bumblebee, a small but smart hotshot. God, that's so bad. Bulkhead.
Hotshot. That's so true.
I know. Bulkhead, a large wrecking ball-wielding worker, Prowl, a ninja-like loner, and a grumpy Cybertronian war veteran in Medic Ratchet find the Allspark amongst the meteors when clearing a space bridge in an asteroid field, but very soon they also find a ship of Decepticons looking for them. Heading back to Cybertron, their supreme commander, Ultra Magnus, is unconcerned with the threat of the Decepticons, but tells them not to be playing at heroes at all. The Decepticons, led by Megatron, attack to claim the Allspark, but Megatron has an enemy in his own crew. This is Starscream, who strives to hold a post of the Decepticon leader as usual. Basically, Starscream blows Megatron up. They crash land on Earth. Some young inventor dude finds Megatron and then builds a robotic empire. 50 years later, the Detroit Metro Police or whatever it is. Sumdax nanobots have created this super horrible monster, and SWAT teams are ineffective. Part of the nanobots get into Omega Supreme. Oh, oops, sorry, spoiler. I mean the Ark, and reactivate the
Dude,
Autobots.
you suck at this. You suck at
I know.
this. God.
I know. Because I'm not actually reading it anymore. Damn it.
Just read it. Just for God's
No,
sake.
no.
Break open the wiki and just read it.
and then Starscream shows up again. All-out battle happens for the Allspark. They meet Sari, who a lot of the fans hated at first. They defeat Starscream and end up being heroes again. And the episode ends with them repairing bridges on Earth.
They come full circle.
Yes. Now, the main thing that we need to bring up first and foremost before we get into any of our thoughts is the voice cast, the main voice cast. You have David Kaye as Optimus Prime, Bumper Robinson as Bumblebee, Corey Burton as Ratchet, Jeff Bennett as Prowl. I'm just going to say Patrick from SpongeBob as Bulkhead because I cannot pronounce Bill's last name. I just can't.
Bill Fagerbecky?
Yeah, I think that's it. Corey Burton plays Megatron. Tom Kenny plays Starscream. David Kaye plays Lugnut. Bumper Robinson plays Blitzwing. Black Arachnia is done by Cree Summer. Tara Strong does Sorry. And Isaac Sumdac is also done by Tom Kenny. Steve, what do you think of the main cast as far, like, specifically the characters and how the voice actors, do you think that David Kaye does a good Optimus, or does David not even, should it have been somebody else to do Optimus?
I think he did pretty well in his own right, being that this is supposed to be a whole new continuity, for one, and two, this is a young Prime, not a Orion Pax gone Prime.
Yeah.
So it's a completely different circumstance. So he's actually having to grow into that leader role gradually throughout the entire series.
Do you have a favorite out of the main cast so far, just from this first pilot?
I pretty much took to. I was a little off put by Prime to begin with, but I think that was just because it was different. Just a whole different look. But I definitely liked Prime. Optimus, that is.
Mm-hmm.
Being that there's more than one Prime in this series. I also liked Megatron. Corey Burton did a great job doing his own Megatron in this. It's almost a nice blend between kind of a G1 and Beast Wars. I mean, it's his own spin on it, but I mean, like, in terms of how he portrayed the character.
Right, yeah.
And I liked Ratchet just for being a cranky old grumpy guy. And I think pretty much the last one I'd have to say is Starscream, and that's because Tom Kenny pretty much nailed the character's voice and actions on the head.
Yeah.
Probably the closest we got to Chris Latta in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'd have to say those four are pretty much my favorites.
What about you, Michael? Do you have any favorites? And we'll get to least favorites here in a moment, because I think we can all agree on who the least favorite character is.
We can?
I think.
I don't know.
But do you have any favorites out of the main cast here?
At this point, it's hard not to like them all. I mean, in an ensemble cast, you usually have like one or two where it's like, ooh, I really like that one. But here, I think they're all equally likable. I think Prowl doesn't get nearly enough screen time as the rest of the crew.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll fix that a little bit later.
Yeah.
I have to agree with Steve about Starscream, and that Tom Kenny really nailed that character. And when I say nailed it, I mean he updated the G1 character just enough, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, he gave proper fan wank and then some.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it was definitely Starscream. I was actually thinking that this Starscream sounds a lot like the Starscream in Transformers Prime.
No, they're two extremely different.
I don't know.
Like this one is more comical because this is Tom Kenny. It's sinister, but
Yeah.
it's to me it's way more comical. Whereas Steve Bloom's version of Starscream and Transformers Prime,
Dark.
he is all the way dark. I mean, he is as dark as you can get. I mean, this Transformers Prime Starscream is nothing compared to this one because that one is he constantly has plans. There's no real like there's not a lot of humor. There's some like in the episode where he lost his arm and Knockout said, "Oh, how about a null ray?" You know, I mean, there's comedy like that, but that character in Prime is so much darker than this one.
I don't know. I seem to find myself laughing at Prime Starscream a lot. Maybe more than other people, I guess. I don't know. But no, I like all the characters. I think I emphasize more with Ratchet. He's just a grumpy old man.
Yeah.
That in Ratchet, I think they almost kind of foreshadow that he's almost kind of tied into the original G1 at points.
I'd like to bring that up later, to be honest, but I see where you're coming from. Yeah, but no, I like them all, and I, especially like Tara Strong as Sari, and I know that some people may not like the Sari character, but I just listening to it, I hear Tara, and it's hard not to love Tara.
Yeah. I don't know. I said a second ago, I think we can all agree on who the least favorite character is, but for me, right off the bat, least favorite is Bumblebee.
Really?
I cannot stand how arrogant he is. I just cannot stand the characterization that they've started him off with. Like,
I was gonna say it's Beast Boy.
Yeah,
it's a big yellow Beast Boy.
That's
at least he has a voice.
Okay, well, that was okay.
He
Technically,
talks, yeah.
I mean,
can't thrash him too much.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, when I first saw this series, and even watching it back now, I just, it's great that he has a voice. It's great that, back in 2007 in December when this came out, because I think this came out right after the movie did. The first movie. I'm glad that they went ahead and gave him a voice and didn't, do what they're doing now with everything. Oh, Bumblebee doesn't need a voice. He doesn't need to talk. We don't need to pay voice actors. What are those? But I'm glad they gave him a voice. I just don't like the characterization. Like, I don't know.
I would rather him be the young, rambunctious character. I'd rather have him be the hot shot, right? Than kind of what they have now. All right,
well,
when I say what they have now, it's kind of like the Bumblebee, and I'm going back to Prime here. I'm going back to the movies. Bumblebee is not your small, peppy scout character. He's on par with one of the Wreckers, where he just runs in and destroys everything that moves. And I don't think that's what Bumblebee should be. I think this character embodies what Bumblebee should be. He's kind of, again, short, peppy.
I can see peppy and being gung-ho and going and getting stuff done and being reckless and all that stuff, but the arrogance of, oh, I'm faster than blah, I'm faster than that arrogance and just the way that portrayal is done of that negative quality is what I don't like about Bumblebee in this.
Well, and again, it's only, so many seasons, but he does grow as a character. He learns to admit his flaws, especially when he meets Blur. He's like, "Ooh, I thought I was fast," But he's starting off this way for a reason, and again, I think that's because by the end of the series, you see the growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they did the same thing with Prowl, and while he's not as annoying, he's more low key about it. But he's just not a team player here. Yeah. And again, by the end of the series, he's all about the team player. He's all about, the self, or the group being greater than the self.
This was a complete departure from anything as far as animation style. What do we think of the animation style, Steve?
Honestly, to begin with, I was not at all thrilled with it, but I think after watching it, it kind of grew on me, and it worked out in its own right. And I'm glad that they did what they did with this, because it showed that, hey, Transformers can change their look and still function properly.
Yeah, I think for me, what was really throwing me off in the very beginning when the series was still airing on television, what really threw me off was just the complete, almost anime-ish type of look, especially when it came to the humans. When I first saw like Professor Princess and Angry Archer, who we'll talk about later in future episodes of Transformation Animation, when I first saw those characters, I'm like, what the hell is this?
What?
It's like, what the fuck is this? What about you, Michael? What do you like or dislike about the animation style?
Uh, when the first stills came out, I didn't like it, and I thought, this is really bad, because they had, I want to say, and it's stock footage now. It's stuff that you see all the time, but they had like a picture of Optimus Prime, kind of from a three-quarter view, and he's jumping toward the camera, and he's all kind of lanky and scrawny. This is a little scrawny for a Prime, right?
Yeah.
And it just didn't look right to me, and I said, this is going to be utter crap. This is just going to be bad. But as I saw more of it, I realized that it was going to be, I don't want to say roughly the same, but similar to the art style for Teen Titans. And I
Well,
didn't know at the
considering
time.
Derek J. Wyatt worked on both series,
Exactly.
yeah.
I didn't know at the time that Derek J. Wyatt was the guy behind Teen Titans, or that he was involved with this. But as it turns out, yeah, it's the same guy. The art style is very similar, and I really liked Teen Titans. And I liked it because I like anime, and Teen Titans was very anime centric. It was like an American anime almost.
Yeah.
And when this came out, I thought, well, you know, not quite what I had in mind, or maybe it's not quite my cup of tea. Or more to the point, it's not Transformers, right? But I still enjoyed it for what it was. And again, I kind of saw it as you know, a departure from what we had, but that's a healthy thing. Anything was better from what we had before.
Well, the thing of it is I mean, if you just look at the United States versions of Transformers over the last 25, 30 years, you had G1, you had Beast Wars and Beast Machines. Beast Wars and Beast Machines was a complete leap into the unknown with the whole CGI stuff.
Right.
And then you have this. And this again was another leap in style and direction. I do like what they did with the story arcs. However, I will say that they are super fan wanky throughout this entire series.
They are, yeah, and that's what I love about it.
And Steve pointed out earlier about how this Optimus Prime is it's not our Optimus Prime. It's not Orion Pax. It's a way to portray Optimus as a younger person without actually calling him Orion Pax. But the history vid in the very beginning was a nice homage, but it's an in-joke only. This is not G1 in 2007, people.
Yeah, now you see that when going back and rewatching this, I had completely forgotten about the G1 clips in there. Yeah. And the clips actually, the history vids, quote unquote, right, actually show Megatron and the Seeker jets, or the Tetra jets, depending, they were kind of like the weird pyramid-looking jet thing. It showed Bumblebee and Wheeljack from the first episode of Transformers, where they were trying to get away, still on Cybertron, trying to get away from the Seekers. Yeah. It showed the Omega Sentinels. And to me, it was like, wow, this sheds a whole new light on this whole thing, because you actually see G1 Megatron, and it makes you wonder, oh, is that Megatron? Because they say 4 million years ago this was the guy, and here's the history vids of him, and if so, then where's G1 Optimus? How well does this tie in together? And it's almost like in Beast Wars where they had the great upgrade where they all go from G1 to tiny Beast Wars figures or tiny Beast Wars characters, and that at one point in the history you go from G1 and everyone kind of goes on into an upgrade into an animated style.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how does that work exactly? And and again, it shines a whole new light onto what's going on here. But at the same time, we've been reminded from Derek Wyatt that we shouldn't read too much into things. I mean, it was the same story when we said, hey, we've got Beast Wars animals showing up in this episode. What does it mean? What does it mean? And he's like, it don't mean anything. Don't read too much into it. Just stop it.
Yeah, I mean and it says on the wiki that they did the history of it as a complete in joke, because as you have said, Michael, and as Steve has said, animated is supposed to be its own continuity, separate from everything else.
Right.
Steve, what were your first impressions when you first when the movie first started, and you saw the history of vids? What were your first impressions?
I thought that somehow they connected it to G1, and I was like, well, that's different. And I was like, I don't see how they got to this point, but it's leading to a, almost kind of a cool concept there.
What's really different for me is, and I noticed this when I rewatched it, just from them watching, just from having the G1 scenes on the screen and then phasing out and showing that it's a history vid, and you see all these different stylized robots, and I'm like, wait, like Michael said, how did that progression happen? Because it's so drastically different. I'm not going to run this into the ground too much, but I did have a note about it takes a while to warm up to Bumblebee in this series, arrogant prick that he is. One of my hugest beefs about this series, and I get that it's not G1, I get that, but who the fuck is Bulkhead? Where's Wheeljack? Where's Blue Streak? Anyone but this guy. Seriously? Patrick the damn starfish in a green robotic suit?
I like that character.
Okay.
No, I mean, seriously, I just like him. I mean, he's so likable. It's oh man, it's got in my notes here somewhere. I forget exactly where he says it, but he's always tripping over things and going, "My bad."
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Bill Fagerbakke, I want to say that's his name, but he was the assistant coach on Coach. That's how, at least I don't watch SpongeBob, so can't really equate him to Patrick. Yeah, exactly. But I think of him as the assistant coach on Coach, and it was almost the same character. It's just kind of a big puppy dog lug of a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Who's always knocking things over. It's like, my bad. And he's not mean about it. It's not like he's big dumb jock, pushing you over for the fun of it. It's he's literally just earnestly bumping into things because he's so big and bulky.
Yeah. Bad choice of words, Big Butt. Uh-oh, Beast Wars reference.
Yep.
I really, when I first saw this, and even now going back to it, because I'm so sick of the movies and everything using the term Allspark, I really miss the Matrix of Leadership. It might have been the biggest gimmick in G1 history, but I prefer it over the damn Allspark.
Well, when you bring that up, isn't the hammer, Ultra Magnus' hammer, the Matrix of Leadership?
I honestly am not sure.
Because when you become the Magnus, you get the hammer. They show that at the end. But
Optimus Magnus. We dropped the hammer. It's hammer time.
It's hammer time. That's right. But they refer to the Allspark almost in theological terms.
Yeah.
Where it's like, the well of all soul, or the well of all sparks. They don't say call all souls, but the well of all sparks. They keep saying that. It's like, are you gonna die? Well, no, I'm going to the well of all sparks. That's a difference,
Well, they did use well of all sparks in Beast Wars, didn't they, Steve?
No.
They didn't?
They did.
And not in Beast Wars.
I could have sworn Rhinox said it a couple of times. I could be wrong.
He
But
said the other side of the Matrix. He didn't say the Well of Allspark.
No, they call it the Allspark. When you die, you go to the Allspark, but they don't call it. There's no such thing as the Well of the Allspark.
Okay.
I think that was something they made up here.
Yeah.
In the end of Beast Machines, when Megatron actually gathers up all the sparks together into his, I don't know, his fishbowl, right? It kind of looks like a well. I would buy that, sure. Well of all sparks.
Yeah, they may have done that in Beast Machines, but Beast Wars never had a reference to the Allspark or the Well of. They mentioned Matrix in it a lot, but that was it.
Yeah. But here, there's a difference between the Allspark and the Well of the Allspark. The Allspark is almost equated with the movie Allspark.
Yeah.
In that
that's why I don't like the term.
Oh, the Allspark. Yeah, the fact that they have this cube, give or take, an angle, right? That it gets tossed into space to keep Megatron from getting it.
Yeah.
I mean that's kind of movie Allspark to me.
Why is movie Ironhide popping into my head? Sam, get to the cube. That ain't no scout ship. That's the Nemesis. Kind of like that's no moon. That's a battle station.
I liked that I liked that because it was like they get this they get the Teletran 1 telling them that there's a ship approaching, and it's like, oh well, a ship like ours, a ship like a scout ship, is it a ship? No, it's huge and it's gonna jump on your head.
Yeah. Star Sponge Scream. Although I give Tom Kenny super awesome geek points for sounding more like G1 Starscream rather than SpongeBob. We did talk about this a few moments ago. He's probably one of the only people that can really pull off a really great Lotta impression. I mean, if you look at people that have voiced Starscream from after G1 to now, minus Steve Bloom, not counting the current continuity, but just when Animated came out, he sounds a hell of a lot like Lotta, and I really like that. Lugnut and Blitzwing. Blitzwing I like simply for Crazy Face Blitzwing. I think that's cool. But Lugnut, really? It should have been Astro Train, damn it.
So, you can't really come in and start complaining about which characters were, this character should
I know. And I understand why they only used Blitzwing, because they only needed one triple changer, and they needed that characterization of that loyal dog to Megatron. The one that would just basically, bend to his will whenever he wanted to.
Well, they needed a tank on the Decepticon side to match against the tank Bulkhead on the Autobot side.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus, if you have a Blitzwing, you get 3 characters for the price of 1.
That's true. I think I like his Arnold, his red face and his crazy face the best. The Ice Blitzwing, I really don't care for that one.
I think each one individually is kind of lame, but when it is. I mean, seriously, it's like it's a freaking Arnold voice. Honestly, please, he's got a big buck tooth, please, a big gap between his teeth.
I will kill you.
I know. Get to the chopper. I know it's so awful, but when they play off each other, exactly. And I forget exactly what he says, but the one voice is like, I'm going to express my rage, and then he switches to the crazy voice in song. Yeah. I love that. I mean, it's just so off the wall.
Yeah. Bumble Rat Trap. We're all gonna die, aren't we?
We're all gonna die.
It's a nice reference, but it sounds better. I'm sorry. I'm not a Bumblebee fan in this show. I'm just not.
Oh. Bumblebee says this a lot, and it's funny that I don't want to say, oh yeah, they pulled that directly out of Beast Wars, but no, it's funny. I like to hear it.
Yeah. I so do love that they did get the G1 fusion cannon sound effect.
Yeah, I love
That was so awesome.
I was like, that is great. They bring back a lot of the sound effects from the G1, and it's just really nice to hear them.
Yeah.
We're getting into that G1 fan wankery now.
Yep. But we're repair bots. We're not programmed for this kind of action. Well, then consider this an upgrade. Why does Bumblebee's line of "we're repair bots" remind me of "I'm getting too old for this shit"?
It didn't so much remind me of that.
I don't know. When I kept hearing it, it reminded me of Riggs and Murtaugh. We're getting too old for this shit.
Nah, sorry, doesn't really strike me that way. But I mean,
As
at
I
this
point,
point,
Go ahead.
it's being beaten over our heads that the young bots are screw ups, right?
Yeah.
And yet Prime, who's especially had this type of training, can come in and save their bacon.
Yeah.
He's an academy bot, so he's able to come in and take care of the business when everyone else is just kind of getting stomped on.
Yep. I was waiting for Galvatron to come in after Starscream says this line, but when Starscream goes, "As I appoint myself new leader," I was so waiting for Cyclonus to come in with Galvatron. Who dares disturb my coronation?
Lubrication, Starscream. This is bad sodomy. One of my favorite lines from Starscream is this was great. Megatron blows up, and Starscream's like, "Yes!" he's got the full-on fist bump. Yeah. And then he turns around. He's like, "Solemn face, solemn face." like, "Oh, this is terrible. Oh, this is so awesome. Oh, this is terrible." I don't want everyone else to know that this is so awesome, so I have to put on the solemn face.
Okay, we all know that Optimus Prime, for the majority of history, has always had a faceplate. I think this, besides not counting Beast Wars, I'm specifically talking about Optimus Prime characterizations.
Mm-hmm.
This was one of the first series that kind of showed Optimus Prime that he had a mouth. Not counting Optimus Prime, specifically Bumblebee and Prowl. Steve, what do you think of their battle masks?
The Bumblebee one, I could kind of see where that kind of went towards the movie-ish. It was almost like a mix between the Bumblebee from the movie and Rat Trap from Beast Machines.
Yeah.
How it kind of flipped down and everything.
Yeah.
Prowl's, I could have done without it. And Prime, of course, I mean, he just looked normal.
Yeah, I mean, Optimus, I mean, I don't like how the movie introduced, when they're in battle, everybody has to have a battle mask. I just don't like that.
Well, Primal did too, and then they stopped doing it.
Primal had the battle mask. Or at least it might have been like an emergency mask, because we only saw it a couple times.
You mean Optimus in this series?
No, Primal.
Optimus Primal in Beast Wars.
Oh, yeah. Well, they did that for pure G1 reference. I mean, they always did that for G1 reference. They didn't use that all the time, but yeah. Let's see, what else do I have here? Okay. Now, this is a point of discussion here. Sumdac, as a young man, he finds Megatron and already has the white stripe in his hair. Now, I know that I'm kind of jumping ahead with this note, but later on it's... Huh?
Yeah, what the hell?
I know, well, it's something I noticed, okay? I'm not saying we have to, go in depth here, but I'm just saying it's something to think about for the future.
All right, go ahead.
The Autobots and Decepticons are crash landing on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Sumdac is in his little outshed, doing his little tinkering thing. Okay. He sees or hears Megatron. When you see Sumdac, he already has the white line in his hair.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Allspark Almanac on page 109, the big thick one with all the words, not the high school version, right? And they show him. It's the young Sumdac, and he has not a white stripe, but it's more of a dark gray stripe, a charcoal gray across his black hair.
It's a little distinguished.
Exactly. It's like he was watching The Ring, you know. And
Well, what happened is Rogue got a hold of him after
Oh,
touching
wow.
Magneto. Gave him a little bit of oldies.
Oldies.
That's funny. Now, I know stasis and stasis pods and all that stuff is a part of Transformers history now.
Yeah.
But the first thing I thought of when Optimus says, "Oh, we have to go into emergency stasis," the first thing I thought of was Thundercats and their capsules. Except in this, Optimus doesn't age like Lion-O did in Thundercats.
That's right. He goes to Earth. He's 50 years older. How'd that happen? 50 years to me seems kind of like a drop in the bucket.
Yes.
It doesn't seem like that much for a Transformer. They're all supposed to be 4 million years old.
Yeah.
It's like I blinked and I woke up and oh crap.
I'm actually going to make a plea to the listeners, to those that are listening to Transformation Animation Podcast. I want you guys to start a count for us and let us know how many times that we reference or we find references of every time Fanzone says, "This is why I hate machines."
Oh, yeah, it aggravates me because by the time we get, and this is a episode 3 note that I made, but by the time we get through this, I think he said at least 3 times.
Yeah.
But
something
my
like
question
that.
is Fanzone a one-note pony?
Pretty much, yeah.
Is this the entirety of his personality?
Pretty much, yeah.
It's like, I'm fat and I'm messy and I boss people around and I hate machines. And
Chief Quimby here.
Exactly. Oh, it's not quite Quimby. He resembles, but he's got. I have a feeling that there should have been more backstory here. That later on in further episodes that were never written, maybe we visit him at home, and he drives this crappy, police car that looks like Bumblebee at home, and gets out.
Well, there is. I don't know if it's
something.
in an actual episode, but there is something where they kind of go to a brief flashback where they mention something about Fanzone and his wife that apparently his wife had an incident with one of the Sumdac robots.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure
Any
if that's an
backstory
actual
would be
flashback
nice.
in an episode, but I do remember something about that later on.
It was the Fanzone Muppet Adventure. I can't program my coffee machine. It talks to me.
Yes.
It keeps blinking 12, 12. It just says it to annoy you. They don't do that anymore.
Time
It's
is
just trying to piss
frozen.
you off.
Like on Johnny Bravo.
Before we get too far ahead, because I know at a certain point we're going to start getting into, scanning alternate modes, but I really like the Cybertron modes for the Autobots.
I like them on the screen. I don't like Bumblebees. And I know I'm making this a habit of anything Bumblebee I'm saying I don't like. I do like his Earth mode.
Yeah.
I don't like his Cybertronian mode. But yeah, I like the Cybertronian modes on screen. The toys, however, I do not like the Cybertronian modes on the toys.
I can understand that, but I mean, they show Prime and Ratchet transform and drive off, I want to say, off onto the asteroid before they even get to Earth.
Yeah.
And the toys look just like the figures. Or I should say, the figures look just like the screen.
Animation. Yeah.
And it's funny, too, because I was like, when the Ratchet toy first came out, I was thinking, this doesn't look like much of anything. I don't even know where they got this from. But going back and watching it again and seeing, that 1 minute, 2 minutes worth of Ratchet in or Cybertron mode.
Yeah.
Really was like, wow, that is really cool. I'm glad I own that toy now because it looks just like the show.
What do you think of the Cybertronian alt mode, Steve?
I'm a fan of a few of them. I like them better on the screen than I do, obviously, toy. Just for certain modes. I dislike Megatron's because it looks too movie-esque. Until he gets to his Earth form, which I love.
Yeah, that comes way later. But yeah, I I can see where you're coming from, but one of the things about Megatron's alt mode specifically that I do like is the fact that they still have the G1 cannon under his cockpit in the Cybertronian mode as well as the Earth mode.
Right.
I will say that Megatron's robot mode in this, his whole head, his whole face, looks 10 times better than what they did in the first movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It looks so much better in animation than it did on live action screen.
Yeah. Well, I've said it before on these podcasts, and I'll say it again, that movie Megatron looks like somebody took tinfoil up and crumpled it up into a close approximation of a person.
A goose!
It's all spiky, and the face is all... It doesn't even look like a face. It's like a big spiky mess with teeth and big red eyes, and I don't like it, you know. But at least here, he's got a face. You can discern the helmet that he wears, and it just looks awesome. And to hear him speak, it's just whoa.
Oh yeah.
You know to be afraid of this guy.
Oh yeah,
It's
especially the
huge.
music that's accompanied him, especially his theme in this. Oh my god. Since we are talking about the bots and all that stuff, we only see the other Decepticons in silhouette. I mean, we do see Starscream outside of silhouette, but the other ones, Lugnut and Blitzwing and Black Arachnia, we all see them in silhouette, and I kind of like that. I think it's saying, oh, hey, we're here, and we are kind of a threat, but we're not actually
leaving it
here.
up to the imagination.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like the less you see, the more that it's in your head of what they look like. And, it's odd that inside the Decepticon ship, it's all dark, and it's all purple, and you can't see anything. And I mean, that could be a good thing, or it could be a few targets away from it being a Klingon ship. Steve knows what I'm talking about.
Yes. Yeah, no, I know what you're talking. I've seen Star Trek. God damn it! I haven't watched it all. I haven't watched every single series.
3 times.
Fuck you. Moving on here. Like the first time I saw it, I so geeked out. Sky Spy.
That's right. It's anti.
And then after the Sky Spy comes back, instead of doing the G1 version of them just laying on the floor and being scanned, they go into the Beast Wars reformatting chamber.
I like the restoration chamber.
I like it. I thought it was cool.
I'm sorry, but when they're on Earth finally, and I think it was Optimus that says, "Keep your scanners peeled for Decepticons." I'm sorry. This sounds so much like a moment where Michael would be talking to Kit and Knight Rider.
Not me. Not Michael Knight.
Yeah, well, when I say Kit, everybody knows what I mean.
I don't know. You might have been one of the few people who watched that show.
Anyway, moving on. So here's an issue I have with Sari. She's screaming and screaming for her life, yet when she sees the Autobots for the first time, she forgets she's in danger long enough to say, "Cool? Seriously?"
I like beans.
Are we,
I don't know what's going on with Steve over there.
I know, I was just throwing some random BS
Did we get into part 2 yet?
My notes are pretty much... I basically took it as all one... No, I took it as all one thing, so...
I know we run into Sari at the end of episode 1, but...
Yeah. I guess we can kind of get into part 2.
I want to focus on 1 just for a second.
Go ahead.
A couple things that I noticed. Basically, the fact that Megatron can take out everybody in the room when all the Autobots are trying to work together and they just can't seem to do it for one reason or another.
Yeah.
And, even if they could, they can't take out Megatron. Even with one arm, they can't take out Megatron. I noticed, and, anyone who doesn't live in Michigan or near Michigan, and I'm looking at you, Blanchard, might not recognize Paw Paw. But when Megatron splashes down, Sumdax, I want to say his parents' farm, where he lives, is in Paw Paw, Michigan. Good wine comes out of Paw Paw, let me tell you.
Oh, God. Here we go. let the drinking reference, let the alcoholic reference flow.
Exactly. You know, I didn't get a chance to have any wine tonight.
Thank God for that.
I know. Well, I was watching Transformers.
You had to be sober for that one.
Not necessarily. It probably would have been better if I had a couple glasses in me, but
Get a little captain in you.
yeah. Well, no, actually, we just went to a wine festival not too long ago, so I got a couple cases of the good stuff. But yeah, we didn't go as far north as Pawpaw. But if I had, I would have brought home another case because I got some good wine up that far north. Or in your case, Steve, it's probably south of you.
Somewhere.
Pawpaw. Somewhere. Oh, get a map. Did anybody else notice the Spike, Carly, and Daniel cameo?
I didn't the very first time I saw the episode, but I did on subsequent rewatches.
Mm-hmm. They're all getting ice cream from the ice cream
I did.
box.
I thought it was awesome as hell. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes. I'm like, they're gonna. Even though they were a cameo, I was like, at least they threw that in there.
Yeah.
The fan waking is complete.
Yeah. What I thought was strange though is that Spike and Carly make an appearance later on. I want to say when she's pregnant.
Yes.
And Ratchet is trying to take them to the hospital. So
Yep.
I thought, you know, the Daniel cameo might have been a little premature.
No. Daniel was, and we'll get into this obviously as we go along. When they premiered as a cameo in this, obviously Daniel was already there. Daniel was already born. She was giving birth to a second child after Daniel.
Blasphemy.
Oh. That's right. You're messing it all up for me, man.
You're the one messing it up.
I know.
You're the one that doesn't know the history. Anyway.
I know. The second child. What are you talking about? See, now we're getting into that wow, chicka, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, well, let's not go there.
I know where babies come from.
That was so... And that's another thing I do have to give Derek J. Wyatt and everybody working on the show a lot of credit. The facial expression, the only one robot that I don't like's facial expressions is Bulkhead. I just don't like when he does some facial expressions, but when
he doesn't have much of a face.
That's true too. It's basically just, you know,
trap jaw looking.
Bulkhead is almost like a pelican. Is he a bird or is he a trash compactor?
Just a little of both.
Do you have any, before I start in, because I took a lot of notes, before I start into more of mine, do you have anything you want to bring up, Steve, from parts 1 or part 2?
Not really, other than the fact that it was interesting to see that Starscream is like the lone ranger taking down all the Autobots.
Yeah.
And the death of Prime, but...
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that.
We're getting to that, yeah.
We'll definitely get to that, because...
Did anybody notice the emergency defense system's name?
Was it Sentinel?
Omega.
It was Omega, yeah.
Initiate emergency defense system code name
Omega. That's War for Cybertron.
Well, no. Well, yeah, but that was War... But no...
It's given away just a little bit, considering, you know, the ship is... shared.
Yeah, exactly. And
G1 character.
But the funniest thing is when he says that, he goes initiate defense protocol Omega, whatever it is, and Teletran 1 comes back and says, you know, due to Cybertron's ongoing effort to conserve energy, this program is not available. And Optimus is like, Optimus is kind of, he doesn't say this, but he's like, what the fuck?
That's equivalent to the blue screen of death, kids.
I know, exactly.
It's kind of got that Han Solo moment where he's like, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. Megatron eats babies for breakfast?
Oh, wow.
That's that's what Bumblebee says. When Megatron's floating over there and he's like, it's the Megatron that eats protoforms for breakfast?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, he's eating babies?
I love in the battle when Bulkhead loses his wrecking ball thingamajig in the nanobot monster. He's like, Optimus is like, can someone lend a servo? And then you hear Prowl's little ninja star thingamajig shuriken thing.
Yeah.
Bulkhead's like, he said lend a servo, not slice a servo. I did like that. Heroes of Detroit, unite! But wait, there's more. Oh no, Starscream is back. What a party crasher.
Wait a minute. You were totally jumping like to part 3.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're like way up ahead. Okay, so he's back, cowboy. We gotta get through part 2 first. Do you
What
have your
else do
notes
we-
separated through
No,
episodes?
I don't.
Or... Oh, see now I've
Not through this because I watched it as one long thing. I didn't watch it in parts.
See, I am organized. I have mine on different pages.
Well, I'm prepared. I'm not organized. I have notes. I just don't have them in any order.
Okay.
I have them in order from beginning to very end.
Well, as long as we're talking about episode 2 here, the giant slug creature was created out of the microbots, or what they call microbots. The first step in the fusion of organic and technological, which I thought was kind of a nice nod to Beast Wars.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, yeah, this is where they're gonna get Beast Wars from. But they never went that far. But I could see how that would happen.
Yeah.
But we get into Sari chasing her dog.
God, Spark Plug.
The Spark Plug. We named the dog Spark Plug.
Now, the wiki did say that could either be a reference to G1 Spark Plug or that could be a reference to the Minicon Spark Plug from Armada. So.
Oh, I don't know.
I prefer to think of it as G1 Spark Plug.
G1, yeah. I kind of see everything here as a G1 reference.
Yeah.
I mean, as you get closer into like 3rd season, you see a lot of Japanese references to stuff that most American people have never seen or heard of. But for the 1st season, almost everything is a G1 reference.
Yeah. Anything else on part 2?
Oh, yes.
Oh?
Steve?
What?
Part 2? Did you like it? Was it fun?
Yes. It's all meshed together in my mind.
See? Told you.
Okay. All right, fine. You know, I'll interject a little bit.
Well, one of the reasons why it's all meshed together in my mind and probably Steve's mind is, as I said before, when this premiered, it wasn't part 1, part 2, part 3. It was beginning, middle, end. It was a actual feature-length film.
Right, yeah.
On television. So it wasn't like, oh, here's part 1, to be continued. Here's part 2, to be continued. So that's why it's kind of meshing all together.
Well, on rewatching though, you watched it, episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, right?
No, I watched it on the DVD as the movie.
Oh, I didn't. I watched them separately.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm being confusing then.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. But no, the part 2 is basically the line between where we get the 5-minute robot historical documentary from Sumdac, and where the giant slug creature breaks loose.
Yeah.
And starts to terrorize the countryside.
I do like the little kid that is talking to Sumdac, though. I like the little kid, like, Mr. Sumdac, there's something wrong in there. Little brown-haired kid.
Yeah. I don't know. I when I see throwaway characters like that, I want to say, who is that supposed to be? You know, because well, it may or may not be, but Derek Wyatt based that kid off of somebody. It's got to be like Marty Eisenberg's son or somebody. This has got to be somebody. He's not just creating people off the top of his head. And I say that not because I know, but because it seems like there are a lot of cameos from actual people in there. I mean, Marty Eisenberg himself shows up in an episode. A couple of people he knows show up. A couple of the artists show up. Things like that.
Yeah.
So it's like it makes you wonder, who is that really? Who is that based on? But as far as the transformations go, once we get in, everyone gets their alt mode, their new vehicle mode.
Mm-hmm.
and they all do their transformation. And you get that nice little bit of stock footage there. It's like, Autobots, transform and show us stock footage. And they all got that little 5-second clip where they against a black background.
Yep.
Yeah. But
I will say, though, that the transformations on screen in the animation are almost just like the toys.
Yeah, I'm very glad that they went faithful to the figures rather than, the and again, this is a rumor that was going around, was that their transformations were just going to be like a Tasmanian devil type of thing where they spin around and you're a truck and you spin around and you're a robot. But they actually went with, I don't want to say, yay, stock footage, but no, they went with actual transformation footage.
Yeah.
And it's transformation footage that you can reuse over and over and over again in every episode, but they show it. You can see it, and it's cool up until Bumblebee's arm comes out and he starts grabbing shit. It's like, oh, now you ruined it. What are you doing? It's like his car door becomes an arm, and he reaches out and grabs Sorry by the head. Come here, you. Ooh. I know. It's like, oh, now you ruined it. But when you're a little kid and you got the toy, and especially like the G1 toys where the whole arm comes out from underneath the hood, you did that when you were little. It's like, I'm a car, but I have this huge arm hanging off from the side of me, and it's got a gun, and it's shooting you. Or at least I did when I was little. I don't know about you.
I just don't. I don't know where my brain goes sometimes, because you're talking about, freakishly long, freakishly big arms on like a mini Volkswagen. The only thing I'm flashing to is when Perry freakishly shrunk Doofenshmirtz and his fist is like 10 times the size of his actual body. Oh God, sorry. Anyway, back to this.
Getting into the Phineas and Ferb reference.
Yes.
Oh, I gotta love those.
Yeah.
A Bumblebee. I'm not sure if it's Bumblebee or if it's everybody, but basically they can't understand why the cars aren't talking back to them.
It's everybody.
Yeah, Bumblebee actually makes the reference.
Bumblebee and Bulkhead.
Does Bulkhead say it? Because Bumblebee's like, can't anybody on this planet talk?
Well, Bulkhead said something first. He's like, do any of you little robots know what's going on here? And then that's when Bumblebee comes in and says, can't anybody on this planet talk?
Yeah, because they don't realize that, the little insects running around are the actual sentient beings on the planet.
Yeah.
It's like, what? I'm supposed to be talking to the meat bag. Well, I don't know about that.
Insignificant fleshlings.
Exactly. Run, little insects, while I try to stomp on you.
That's funny.
No, but so they all get their alt modes and they start fighting the giant slug thing. I don't even know what to call it. It's a nanobot monster.
Yeah.
Something like that. And right away, you get the impression that Prowl is not a team player. He's always jumping the gun and doing his own thing because he thinks he can do it better than everybody else. And to a certain extent, he can. But the fact that, this is way more than he can chew, and he's trying to bite it off anyway.
Nom, 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 nom.
Yeah, exactly. And then he gets knobbed. Nom, 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 nom. Because the monster eats him.
And then the monster, because it is a nanobot, actually melds with Prowl's brain and is tapped into their comm links.
Yeah, exactly. And eats half his chest, which is it's kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
What bothers me here is we have this Jeff Goldblum moment where Ratchet, creates the cure for the nanobot on his Mac top.
Yeah.
Yeah. See the reference?
Oh, yeah.
It's an ID4 reference.
Yeah, it's so Independence that I got it. I got it. You gotta manually. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
The difference here is though.
Yeah.
The difference here is though you have to actually shoot it or get it into the creature's mouth or whatever, whereas in there they had to actually fly up to the spaceship.
Well, there's a certain amount of flying going on here. You have Bumblebee jumping off a building, and he's like, "You're going down."
I like how the creature swallows.
Exactly. But it's like, dude, you just jumped into the Sarlacc pit. What are you thinking? Oh, it's a nice kamikaze jump by Bumblebee, which I liked. But what I liked most about this battle is that they win by thinking. And granted, Ratchet's doing most of the thinking and kind of berating Optimus for fighting first and not thinking first. He's like, look, you want to fight all day, or do you want to think your way through this and fight for a little while, and then win?
Yeah.
But and Optimus even says, okay, all right, fine, I understand. You're right, you're older and wiser, and tell me how to do it. And they get through the battle with their wits, rather than just beating this thing into submission. And I like that. I like the fact that they don't have to combine with each other and power up in order to defeat the monster. It's not it's a huge departure from the Japanese shows where
this is not our motto where Optimus Prime combined with Jetfire, blah blah blah.
Exactly. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to defeat this thing unless I combine with Jetfire
and put on my magic pants.
Exactly. Prime pants or Jetfire. Was it Pants Fire? Optimus Pants? I forget.
Yeah,
Optimus
something
Prime
like that.
Combined with trailer.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like, do I gotta keep doing this over and over and over again? No, but they win by thinking, which I really enjoy, and I think that's such a good example for kids. What I don't like is pole vaulting. I don't consider pole vaulting to be a suitable attack.
You mean Optimus and his energy axe?
Yeah, it's the handle of the axe shoots out into this long pole.
Yeah.
It hits the ground, and he kind of pole vaults, and gives a midair kick to whoever he's pole vaulting towards. And I just don't like that. I think it's kind of dumb. You have an axe with a rocket on the end of it, so it can swing really fast. But instead of actually cutting into your foe, what you do is you kind of pole vault and kick him. It's like, I don't like it. But yeah, I mean, you get into Terra. You get into Sorry. You get into Sorry, stowing away in Bumblebee and going down to their base. And first of all, it's like, why would he do that?
That just goes to show you that this is not your G1 Bumblebee.
Well, G1 Bumblebee was the first one to let Spike jump in there and, hey, come on, we're going.
Right, but what I'm saying is, G1 Bumblebee wouldn't be as dumb as this Bumblebee where she goes, am I going to be able to breathe down there? What's breathe?
That's right.
But he went on AOL and downloaded all the information.
That's on AOL. He's a prodigy. I know all about this stuff. Yeah. Well, as long as we're confusing Sorry with Tara, I would happily let Tara Strong hide in my car any day.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure that's
moving
not
on.
what you're thinking.
Not the back seat, the front seat. Okay, fine, the back seat. All right.
So, anyways, moving on. You're married. Shut up. Okay, so since we're talking about them back in the ship here, I tried to pause and check, but when Bumblebee dumps her into where the Allspark is,
into the garbage chute.
Yeah.
Since when does the garbage chute go to the storage bay?
Well,
you're gonna keep your.
At least it's better than being stuck in the garbage chute and things pulling you under and you having to use lightsabers on it. But anyway, so when she gets down there, she has this key card for her Sumdeck Tower for wherever she lives with her dad or whatever. So she's got this plastic key card. The Allspark somehow wakes itself up. And I don't remember if she held her key out or if the Allspark energy kind of just was magnetically holding her key card out in front of her.
Yeah.
And then you see this flash of all like a bunch of past Autobots. And then you see a flash of a bunch of other faces that are humans. And I tried to pause it to see if I could get any of the human images. I wasn't able to do so.
Yeah.
But after that, she's like, did we just have a conversation? Oh my God.
Weird. I didn't notice the flash with the faces.
Oh, I noticed the flash of the faces with the robots, but I also noticed the flash with the faces of the humans as well, because it was like the Allspark told her about the robots, and then the Allspark got from her the humans.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again to make sure, but I could have sworn that there were two sets of images. There was robots and humans, which is weird.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at it again because that doesn't
Yeah.
sound familiar to me.
Yeah. So then, they create the plot device of the magic key.
It's the MacGuffin. Sorry becomes the world's cutest MacGuffin.
By the power of Grayskull. Oh wait, wrong show.
And then of course, they go back up because apparently, we cut to a scene where Sumdak has got his they're divers in the water, and they're like, oh, we have to go up there. My dad's probably looking for me. And then they're like, Fanzone's like, all right, fire on them or whatever else, and put your hands up. So they all it's just so weak to me. This looks so weird. The Autobots are all hunched over, they're half bent over in front of them with their hands up. It looks like they're menacing giant freaking robots. It doesn't look like they're surrendering anything.
I was thinking zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and then Sumdak comes out like, no, that's my daughter. Put your arms down, or put everybody lower your weapons. It's okay, guys. You can put your arms down now. And she says, when they tell them to put their arms up, she goes, maybe it's to make you look less scary. I would think when they put them up, as Michael said, zombies, it probably made them more scary.
More scary, yeah.
So then we have that, and then they have this whole hero scene of they're the heroes of Detroit now, and this, that, and the other thing. And then we,
That was just
and then we cut to Starscream where he's found the Allspark energy signature thing, and he gets to Earth, and Sumdak's like, I paid for 6 jets, not 7.
the Crimson Angels.
Yeah.
I like that, as opposed to the Blue Angels.
Yeah.
But Starscream, I like him, but I think he got off really easy here. I mean, Megatron is searching for this thing for 4 million years, and Starscream gets off with 50? It's not really fair,
He got hosed.
Well, he just got lucky. He's like,
True.
yeah, I'm that good.
And then, so Starscream is the party crasher, and of course the battle ensues with Starscream. My one problem actually comes at the very end of the final part of this episode here, but I'll bring it up now. How is it at the end of the episode where, yes, I know that during this battle they mentioned this, the Autobots mentioned Decepticons, and they mentioned this and they mentioned that.
Yeah.
But how does the fucking TV announcer know that Starscream was a Decepticon at the very end? That's just something that bugged the hell out of me, and I know I'm jumping ahead here, but funniest thing was, it's like, after Starscream shows up, they're like, oh, it's a Decepticon. What are we going to do now? As long as we work together as a team, we can all do it. Let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya.
Twice.
Because they all do, the whole, team player, basketball, football, huddle thing where they all put their hands in the center and go Team Prime! It's like, oh my God.
Okay.
And one of the good things I'll give Bulkhead this. Did he punch Starscream in the gut or the nuts? With his wrecking ball, because it looked like it was a skewed area on Starscream's body. It's open to
Starscream is almost all skewed area, though.
Oh my God, yes. And Starscream, you shouldn't monologue during a game of Keep Away. And then Optimus, like you were talking about his axe earlier, with his whole grappling hook thing. It could be equivalent to Batman, but I equated it to Spider Prime. He's swinging from building to building, and then of course Starscream crashes into him.
Spider Prime, Spider Prime, Spider Prime.
Spider Prime
Does whatever Spider Prime does.
Yeah. Oh no!
Funny.
Optimus dies in the premiere of the series. No, this would have.
Yeah, because it's
And
not
then-
Transformers unless Prime dies.
I know. It's one of those things where this is so bad because it's like she's like, oh wait, I'm not. Well, I will give Sari points. She didn't just lay there and sob into his hand like Daniel did.
Yeah.
She actually decides to try to do like, no, this isn't the end. Blah 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 blah. But after she revives him, like when he first opens his eyes, it would have been so much more awesome if he had, after he woke up and he sat up, it would have been so much better if he said, "You're all alive."
What? Why would that be? Why would that be better?
Because that's what Ultra Magnus said when the Junkions brought him back to life.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, I'll buy that, sure.
It's a G1 reference.
But he didn't get to say "open, damn it, open."
I know.
Damn it. I thought for a second there that you were doing Yeah, never mind. That was just would have been a strange reference to make.
And then my final note is at the end that I mentioned about the TV announcer. Like how the hell does he know that Starscream is a Decepticon? I don't think that the Autobots even said Decepticons to the humans or whatever else. But my final note is they left this on a cliffhanger because Sumdac is keeping secrets and the disembodied head of Megatron.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Oh man. Ladies and gentlemen, for one night and one night only, the disembodied head of Megatron. Dun, 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 dun,
Watch
dun,
him do
dun.
his headstand. Watch him.
He was ahead of his time. He should have stopped while he was ahead. I think we've done these before.
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's so weird to me about, like, because Sumdac's like, if they knew where my robotics empire really came from, would they ever forgive me? You just met the fucking Autobots. You've maybe known them a day and a half. Yet the way he makes it sound is, oh, we've been friends for years. We're best buds.
I don't think that he means it in such a way that, I'm harboring their worst enemy. He means it in such a way that, they don't realize that I have the head of one of their friends and I'm using it to conduct experiments on. Because Megatron hasn't really talked to him yet, but once he does make his presence known and say, hey, I'm Megatron, he doesn't say, the Autobots are my sworn enemies and I will kill them all. He says, oh yeah, they're friends of mine, but I don't think it's such a good idea if you tell them about me because, I don't know how they're going to react toward you. And I think that's what he's making reference to here is, oh man, I've been doing medical experiments on their friend's dead body for the last 50 years, and I don't think they're going to dig that so much.
Well, but he doesn't know. I mean, he doesn't know until later episodes that, Megatron doesn't awaken until later episodes. The head of Megatron didn't awaken here. They just showed it off. It doesn't awaken until the next episode, I think. Home is where the spark is. And that's, the next episode is where he reveals himself, I believe. So here at the end of this, I think it would be kind of premature for your explanation for that because of
Right, Megatron he doesn't know who Megatron is.
Right, exactly. He just knows
he can't make an inference because he just doesn't know.
Yeah.
But I think that's about as close as we're gonna get.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not gonna immediately assume that, oh, this giant head that I have belongs to their sworn enemy, and he's just thinking more along the lines of, wow, I went 50 years and didn't realize there were any more out there, and they were at the bottom of Lake Erie.
He's like, when he first saw them, they look remarkably familiar. There's something familiar about these
Something
things.
familiar about the giant robot heads. Where have I seen that before? There's only so many places you can see them, like the one you have cut up in your lab.
Any other thoughts on Transform and Rollout, Steve? Steve?
Yes?
Any other thoughts on Transform and Rollout? Did you have anything else you wanted to bring up?
Not really.
So we've pretty much covered everything that you wanted to mention or make fun of?
Yes.
Right. Well, I have lots of things to make fun of yet.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that I don't want to not include Steve here because we've kind of been running the whole gambit here. So, what else you got, Michael?
And I'm going to recap here for people who watch the movie as opposed to the individual episodes. But part 3 starts out where the Autobots are having to deal with their newfound fame. Where instead of the humans going, "Oh my God, you totally trashed our city," they're now
Famous.
they're being seen as heroes. And what they don't realize though is that they're on TV, and Starscream is up in space watching them on TV. They don't they don't realize that Starscream is going to show up and trounce them all. But this is the first time that we hear David Kaye say, "My name is Optimus Prime."
And it won't be the last time.
It won't be the last. It almost becomes somewhat of a running joke, especially between him and Megatron, where Megatron will just refuse to call him by name. Which I thought I didn't realize that this was the first time he said it. I thought it was a Optimus Megatron thing, not something that he said to Starscream.
I think he did say it on the ship when he was fighting Megatron.
Oh,
on
did he?
Omega.
Oh.
I think he did.
I didn't catch it if he did, but it would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't say it. He hasn't said it yet to the point where he's so frustrated with Megatron not like it's not at the very end of the series where he's like, "My name is Optimus Prime." It's not like that. It's just like
it's just
regular
like, a gentle reminder that you may not know me yet.
Optimus Prime.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I will be a huge pain in your ass.
It's right.
No succeeding for you.
In the park, did you guys hear the voiceover? It was funny. It was a guy talking to his kids, and he's like, "Honey, don't put that in your mouth, okay? Because there's a lot of germs here at the park." I heard. I had to listen to it like 3 times to figure out what he was saying, but I thought that was funny.
That's the scene where Optimus asks I almost said Optimus asks RC. Where Optimus asks Sorry, how do you humans get those smaller organics?
How are they made?
Whispers, "Oh my God."
I don't know what she whispers to him, but the look on his face is priceless.
I know. It's just it's like one of those MasterCard commercials, priceless.
Yeah, priceless. He's like, okay, when 2 people love each other a whole lot, he's like, "Oh my God." It's like, you little flesh bags are gross enough, but the fact that you procreate is kind of like making me sick,
Oh God, it'll get even better when we get further in, especially when we get to season 3. It'll get even better when we get to season 2. Oh my God, when the elite guards show up. Oh my God,
Sentinel with his bug spray.
I know. It'll get so much better.
Awesome. I love that. It's yeah, so Starscream shows up and they all start fighting, and they really prove more than once that they can work as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And even Sari gets in on the teamwork because she's like, "Okay, here's my plan," And my first thought is, your plan is to get the hell off my hand and shut the fuck up. And it was just funny because in the next scene, there's a commercial here. I didn't see the commercial, but it's a commercial break. But when it comes back, that's pretty much what Optimus Prime says is, "No, your ass is going to sit here. You're going to sit here and you're going to, stay put." And of course she doesn't, which is all well and good. But again, it's showing that Optimus Prime is, he's a green leader. he leads, and he knows what he's supposed to be telling people to do. Whether or not they listen is another thing. Whether or not he's actually right is a complete other thing. And he's learning to accept these things and learning from these experiences, which is cool. And I like that. I do. It's a huge departure from the G1 Optimus Prime, who always says the right thing, always does the right thing. This
I don't know about
Prime,
always, but that's a discussion for another day.
Most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about cartoon Prime here. We're not talking.
I know.
Prime, right?
We're not talking about giving somebody their face.
No, I'm not either. I'll. Yeah, continue, Michael.
Okay. Bumblebee, he's so likable. He's like, you can trust his face, can't you?
No, not really.
He
if
does
it's
it in
cold
that
day in
shitty
hell.
voice that you hate. I know. Yeah. Like I can't.
He grows on me. I admit, when they develop his character and they make him less of an arrogant asshole, he does grow on me. But I'm sorry, in the first season, Bumblebee is just a complete ass.
Yeah.
And I just don't like that. I'm not saying it has to be the G1 timid character of Bumblebee. You can make him a different character. You don't have to make him the most arrogant asshole in the entire fucking universe.
Yeah, you do.
Well, again, I think if you're familiar with Teen Titans and you're familiar with the Beast Boy character,
Beast Boy.
Here's our Beast Boy, right?
Yeah.
And here's our tank, and here's our ninja, and here's our woe-begotten leader. They're very cookie cutter, but again, they grow, and that's a testament to the writing. And we say this is almost cliche in our Beast Wars podcast, but every week it was like the writing is so incredible, and I think we're gonna see a lot of that in this one too, because it's just such a well written piece.
Well, I will say that I didn't realize this until I watched season 3, when they give you more of the backstory. This entire series is more Ratchet's story than anybody else's.
I might buy that. I mean, the series, I'm not sure if I buy that for the series. I might buy that for
$1.
Let's say, well, for the early season, because you get Ratchet, who has the most story to tell, because he was in the Great War and he was there during all this stuff that was going on and all the stuff that happened to RC, which brings RC into the mix. But there's a history between him and Lockdown, and the history between Lockdown and the Decepticons, and how all that ties together flows through Ratchet. And I see that, but then I'm not sure if it's season 2 or season 3 when you start seeing a similar backstory for Prowl.
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 different backstories. You have Optimus, Ratchet, and Prowl that all, and technically 4, because you have Bumblebee and Bulkhead's backstory.
Bumblebee and Bulkhead in the Academy, which is its own story.
But what I'm saying is, as far as the series being mainly Ratchet's overall stories, is because of what you just said. Because he is the oldest of the Autobots in this group. He was in the Great War. He was on Cybertron. He was, he has seen all this action. That's what I mean about it being his overall story for the entire series. I mean, yes, there are all these other plots that interject together, but just after everything that came out of all the flashbacks in season 3, I just saw it being Ratchet's story overall.
Right. Well, I can see how Ratchet spices up the story with history, the historical facts, right? But I'm not sure.
On this day in history, I sat on a rock.
It's funny too, because he kind of reminds me of Cup, and I tend to call him Dr. Cup.
Oh my God!
I know, it's like you Whipner snappers, and it's like, oh, it's Dr. Cup.
Get off my lawn!
You respect your elders, you little. Yeah. I like that. And what's funny is that it's almost, I don't want to say almost the same personality, because I got into this problem with Starscream earlier in the conversation, but when you look at Transformers Prime Ratchet, how again, it's the old crockety or persnickety doctor. And I like that personality for Ratchet. I really dig it. Much better than, let's say, the movie Ratchet, which I didn't really like, and who only got like 2 lines in the 3rd movie, but I won't go into that. But
the thing about Ratchet, both in this series and in especially Transformers Prime, like this Ratchet, it's Corey Burton's spin on Ratchet. With Transformers Prime, I don't dislike Ratchet in that series. I actually really love the character in that.
Jeffrey Combs.
That's the one issue I have. It's not that Jeffrey Combs does the voice. It's because Jeffrey Combs does the voice that I want to see Ratchet in a giant blue trench coat and fedora hat. It just...
Oh, because you're thinking of The Question.
Because I'm thinking like that was the first exposure I had to Jeffrey Combs was The Question from Justice League.
Oh my god! You know what? You go out and rent Reanimator like right now. Jeffrey Combs in Reanimator is Herbert West. He's awesome. He is awesome. And the sequels maybe so, but it's always Jeffrey Combs coming back as Herbert West, and it's one of my favorite shows. One of my favorite movies, and really one of my favorite franchises. It's awesome. Getting back to this, though, when I hear Ratchet on this show, I'm hearing Jeffrey Combs in my head and thinking, this would have been cool with Jeffrey Combs doing the voice.
But I do, like I said, I do like Corey Burton's version. I mean, because he does play he plays the old and cranky up.
Right. This is the first time we've had old and cranky Ratchet. And again, Jeffrey Combs gets it from here, or at least, or I should say, the story is written from this, the way it's played. Now, I'm not sure if Jeffrey Combs watched, animated before he did Ratchet, but yeah, it's very similar. But I think I prefer Jeffrey's voice better.
Yeah. What about?
It's interesting.
Go ahead, Michael.
I'm going to change gears completely here. Sorry, but it's interesting how at the end, when Optimus Prime dies, right, quote unquote dies, how the Allspark opens up like the Matrix. It's like they grab either side and pop it open, and it,
Yeah.
And when I say Matrix, I mean like the Matrix from the movie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the animated movie from 1986. Not.
You're talking about Optimus's chest.
No, I'm talking about the Allspark.
Oh, okay.
The Allspark has handles on either side, and when you pull it open, it looks like the Matrix of Leadership, a slightly boxier version than the circular Matrix. But that's what it looked like to me, and it pops open and brings Optimus Prime back to life. Again, he was dead because he turned gray, and again, it would be Transformers without the death of a Prime. And the fact that his chest opens up and he's got a spark chamber.
Yeah. With
a spark in it, which I thought was really, really cool. I liked that a lot.
But it was unneeded having Prime die.
Yeah, it was, though.
Just to bring him back in the same episode.
If this was just a pilot movie and it didn't get picked up and it was just an hour and a half special, it needed to have Prime die.
No, it didn't.
Well, I'm glad that it got picked up, and I'm glad that they had 3 good seasons, but 3 excellent seasons. But you gotta have Prime die at least once. But no, they brought him back to life. It was very cool. And I want to end it on that, but I had one more thing that I was going to bring up.
You don't remember, do you?
I do. It's like I kind of want to end on the Prime dying note, but I won't. The windshields of the cars, when they're in vehicle mode, they emote with their windshields.
Yeah, that's a little strange.
It's very Pixar. It's not quite Cars.
Yeah.
Quote Cars, Pixar's Cars, right? They don't have eyeballs that, but it's almost like there's a reflected light or reflection, and it moves kind of, the kind of give the impression of eyes or eyebrows. It's almost like eyebrows.
Yeah,
Where,
it's more so on Bumblebee and Bulkhead than almost any of the others. I notice it most on those two.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that. I think that's a cool thing. It's a nice trait. It's considering they spend a lot of time in vehicle mode. I mean, even on the base, they're not standing around in robot mode all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Bulkhead kind of has to stand around in robot mode because if he transforms inside the ship, and
They're done for.
yeah. So, Steve, any final thoughts on the movie premiere of Transformers Animated?
Other than those few issues with it, it started off strong and definitely, especially for someone who didn't give a rat's ass about it when it started, I ended up hooked.
Yeah.
And had to watch it every week, so therefore I would say that it's definitely a strong start to the series.
Michael, any final thoughts on this beginning?
Yeah, I have to agree with Steve that, again, it was like, I don't know about this, but then when you see it, it's so cool and it draws you in with the story and with the G1 references and, the promises of better things to come. That Megatron's coming back, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
I mean, like I said, they ended this on a cliffhanger. Like, oh my god, it's Megatron's disembodied fucking head.
So he's coming back, and there's other Autobots out there like Ultra Magnus, who is just dead on Robert Stack. Don't try to be a hero, Optimus. It's like, oh my god, they resurrected Robert Stack to do this voice. It's not
actually
Robert
Jeff Bennett that does that voice.
Yeah, he's doing a Robert Stack impersonation, but Robert Stack was the guy who did the voice in the 1986 movie.
Yeah.
And it was just really special to hear that. And again, that there's more stuff out there, and that this is going to end up being a really special, not in the sense of a special ride, if you will, a romp. Perhaps.
Yes, or a romp. There we
romp.
Go. For me, I agree with you guys. This is one of the reasons why I like doing, after it's over, big picture podcasts of going back and looking at stuff instead of doing podcasts in the way of reviewing it as episodes come out. Mm-hmm. Because this way I can go back and I can watch and I can really, really look for stuff. Like, I mean, some of the references that I did point out did pop out at me immediately. Some of them really didn't. Some of them I kind of, I made references where there wasn't any, like, that's no scout ship, that's the Nemesis, stuff like that. So, all in all.
Yeah, when you look at it in its entirety and you see... much later on, we're going to see the Elite Guard, we're going to see Sentinel Prime, we're going to see Ultra Magnus, and they hinted at them a tiny bit in this movie, in the very first, I should say, the first episode. Yeah, but those are coming up, but there's hints here for stuff that's going to be happening later on in the series. Yeah. And they have the lay of the land, let's say. They've got it planned out well enough ahead, at least for the first season, that they can drop these little hints as to what's coming up.
Oh yeah. I love, even though I don't really care for the character of Sentinel, I just love the way Optimus shuts him up. Display cargo, hold visual. Hold please.
And he goes, oh, like that kind of bothered me in the sense that you have this, maintenance crew, space janitors, right? And they're out in the middle of nowhere, and they find this box, and they're like, I don't know what this box is. Ratchet knows, and he's like, we got to get the fuck off this rock. And he immediately packs it up and heads back for the ship. Yeah. No one else seems to know what it is until they get it back to the ship and analyze it. They show a picture of it to Sentinel Prime, and he automatically says, I'll get Ultra Magnus for you.
Yeah.
It's like, how does he know what it is? That's, that doesn't make any sense.
That's a plot hole we can explore in a future episode. So
I'm willing to overlook it.
Yeah. It's one of those nitpick things. It's one of those things you look at something too closely, you're like, ow, my eyeball.
Brain freeze. Ow, ow, ow.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're going to go to some ads, and then we're going to actually go to Cybertron and hear Kevin's thoughts on the premiere. I will say that Kevin's segment this time around is slightly longer than what his normal segments will be, just because that this is the premiere.
Extra long episode.
Yeah, exactly.
3 episodes.
So we're going to be doing that, and we will be back with the outro.
Here's quote number 1.
This is why I hate machines. Testing 1. Will someone get me a bullhorn that works, for crying out loud?
Here's quote number 2.
I'm Bumblebee.
I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be. I like my name.
No, I mean my name is... What are you?
And quote number 3.
He said lend a servo, not slice a servo.
Finally, quote number 4.
Now bring me the Allspark Autobot scum.
Transformation Animation Podcast will be back after these messages.
Soundwave, jam that transmission.
Rumble Frenzy, Ravage Rat-Bat, Eject, Operation Interference.
No, there will be no Operation Interference. I am TFG1 Mike, and you should be listening to my very first podcast, the TFG1 Podcast. 24 episodes covering the entire U.S. run of the 1984 Transformers cartoon. I also have a few supplemental episodes, and an interview with Stan Bush. I bring in guest hosts who will be full-time co-hosts in Steve Megatron and fan of the show now co-host Pecan Court Michael. So check out the TFG1 Podcast. You can find it on iTunes and the web at www.geekcastradio.com. Transform and roll out.
Welcome to my throne room, future tales. The Beast Unleashed podcast is over, not gone. You can hear more of this great podcast, discussing all the episodes of Beast Wars and Beast Machines on GeekCastRadio.com. We include voice actor and writer interviews with stellar hosting by Steve, Mike, and Michael. Head on over to iTunes or the net, or else I will send you my vehicles to extract your spark and destroy you. Yes.
Hey guys, it's Optimus Solo, your Cybertronian correspondent, giving my thoughts on Transformers Animated. Now, the topic today was Transform and Rollout. And before I get into my notes for this episode, or this series of episodes, let me just remind you, if you haven't listened to episode 0, that I have not seen this series, so these are my thoughts as I'm seeing these episodes for the very first time. Now, let's get right into it. First of all, since this is the first episode of the series, I got to talk a little bit about the voices and the looks real quick before I get into the content for the episodes. As far as voices go, good voices. I loved the voice for Ratchet. Alright, I love Sentinel Prime and Ultra Magnus' voices, even though they weren't in there very much, obviously, for this first episode. And I loved basically all of the Decepticon voices, especially Megatron's. And for that matter, the humans were fine too, especially Tara Strong as the voice of Sari was really good. So I liked all of those. The bad voices, and I'm sorry because I know there's a lot of fans of the people that are voicing these guys, but Optimus Prime right off from the bat, right from the get-go, just didn't fit. The voice doesn't fit him, and I just can't stand it. I'm trying to get used to it, but David Kaye as Optimus Prime is just not doing it for me. Bumblebee, what can I say about Bumblebee? Bumblebee is probably hands down the worst voice in the show so far. I'm sorry, Bumper Robinson. And I don't think it's a coincidence that I also don't like your voice of Blitzwing, the only Decepticon voice I don't like. Other than that, Prowl, I get you're going for something different. I'm hopefully going to get used to that voice because that's not doing it for me. And the only other voice that I have a problem with is the Teletran 1 voice. I mean, we have been spoiled by really great voices of Teletran 1 in the original series, as well as Sentinel in Beast Wars. And this Teletran 1 voice is just kind of boring. It doesn't pop. It doesn't do anything cool like I'm used to for the Transformers computers. So hopefully I'll get used to some of those voices, but yeah, I mean, at one point I wanted Starscream to actually kill Bumblebee so I wouldn't have to listen to him anymore. As far as the looks go, I do like the alt modes a little bit better than the robot modes. Obviously, I've expressed my disdain for the overall look of the Transformers, but I can look past this and I'm starting to get used to it, so I don't think it's going to bother me. And the Transformers do look way better than the humans look, because the humans are god-awful as far as the design goes for that. I'm sorry, Derek J. Wyatt, but your humans are terrible. And that may be the ugliest baby I've ever seen in an animated form, the one that they show in this series. The backgrounds, however, look great. The scenery looks great. Everything else looks great, so I'd put the backgrounds and the scenery at the top, then the alt modes, then the robot modes, then the humans, and then the ugly baby at the end. Alright, well, let's get right into some of the more detailed thoughts on the show. I'm going to start with the lowlights because I'd like to end on a positive note. The history video flashback that they start with looked absolutely great, and I wanted to love this, but they needed to not have this as part of the show. I understand that Transformers Animated is its own continuity, which I have a problem with already because I don't understand why you always have to have new continuities in the Transformers universe. But I understand that, and I'm fine with the fact that it's its own continuity. But if it's its own continuity, don't show a video that completely contradicts some of the stuff you're going to be showing. I mean, the flashback video is on Cybertron right before they make the journey and fall to Earth originally, and Optimus Prime would have been there. So you can't show this flashback and then make it seem like Optimus Prime was never there, didn't know anything about it, didn't know these people, etc., etc. It just brings up a whole bunch of continuity contradictions. So if you're going to be your own continuity, don't flash back to a separate continuity. It's just bad. Another lowlight, I really hope that they're not going to use the line Big Bot in reference to Optimus Prime throughout this whole series. I didn't have a problem with it in Beast Wars, but please don't call him Big Bot again. Please, 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 please. As far as some of the actual storyline stuff, were they really spraying a huge bug monster thing with fire hoses? Are the humans really that retarded? Yeah. And where the Ark landed, it wasn't very deep or hidden. I mean, I know they say it was at the bottom of whatever, Lake Erie or whatever, but when they show it animated wise in the actual animation, I'm not buying that the humans would have never found that or never seen that. But that's just a minor one. That's just me being picky. Much less of a problem with that than I have with this magic freaking key that Sari is wearing. What the freaking hell is that, besides a fucking plot device thing that you can just use at will? And they've already used it 3 freaking times in the first episode. The magic key may ruin this entire series for me. That is way too Unicron Trilogy-esque, and it's gonna make me mad. Just 2 other things. Is that Optimus Prime or Rodimus Prime? Because a few of those lines made it sound a lot more like Rodimus Prime, and I almost vomited in my mouth. The only other problem I have is the recycled writing here. The origin story is almost identical to all the other Transformers ones we've had. You have a battle or a war or some type of fight going on in space. You crash land on Earth. You fight over, we're fighting over a Matrix or an Allspark. We're playing Keep Away with it. And then, how many times can we possibly play the whole Optimus Prime dies card? Really? The first freaking episode, we've already played it again. I think I've seen this 5 times in Transformers history. This is pathetic. Get some new writing. Write some creative stuff that hasn't been done already. Some things I'm on the fence about. Transformers getting tired and needing rests or naps. I don't remember ever seeing this before in Transformers history. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just not saying I like it yet. I'm still thinking about that one, so we'll see. And the other thing I'm on the fence about is the appearance of Black Arachnia. Now, I realize that this series, from what I've heard, is going to have all kinds of different moments that we, reference G1 or Beast Wars or this or that. But really, Black Arachnia in with all these other people? I mean, I like the voice, I like the character, I like the look, but she shouldn't be with these other people. They didn't live at the same time. But I'm on the fence about it. I'll let it slide for now, since I know I'm going to have to deal with that and a bunch of other things. As far as highlights go, I love the interaction between the humans and the Transformers so far. I like that they're not trying to hide that they're out there. The humans know they're there, and the dialogue between each of them. And even though I diss the writing, the actual dialogue is not bad. The whole sprung a leak when Sorry starts crying made me laugh. The playing of sorry, as in being sorry about something, and sorry the name was fine. And I love Starscream's line, probably my favorite line, about you can't deceive a Decepticon. So some great dialogue in there. The weaponry was great. I loved the weaponry. Just some cool things going on there as far as throwing the circles, the disc, as far as Prowl goes. The other thing with Bulk, when he throws a thing out of his arm. So the weaponry was cool. And I liked the full circle of having them start by working on bridges in space and end by working on bridges on Earth. That was a cool little full circle moment. So, I don't know. So far, I'm kind of on the fence about a lot of things. There was a lot of things that drove me nuts, especially the magic key. But there's enough that I'm going to keep watching, obviously, and hopefully it'll go up from here. As far as like a first episode and an origin story and kind of a pilot, I've seen much better. So I'm going to give this one a rating of 4 out of 10. So this has been Optimus Solo, your Cybertronian correspondent, and we'll see you for the next episode.
I got a vibe tells me I should be sitting in on this scene for a while.
Now back to Transformation Animation Podcast.
So thank you to the stranded Cybertronian correspondent, Kevin Optimus Solo Thompson. Let's see. His thing about Optimus Prime and the G1 thing. The G1 little history vid thing was just an in-joke, as we've said earlier in this episode. And as we've also set out, this Optimus is supposed to be a younger Optimus. He's not the same character as in G1. What else do we need to respond to Kevin to set the record straight?
I liked his point about sleeping.
Yeah, that is a little weird.
Yeah, several times they're like, I gotta take a nap. And, it's something that we're used to seeing in, like, Star Wars, where C-3PO is like, if you don't need me, I'll take a nap, or I'll power down for a while. And Luke says, sure, go ahead. And he shuts down. But, to have Ratchet wake up covered in parking stickers, yeah, that seems a little strange. It also points out the need for a base or a home where they can sleep without being ticketed.
Yeah.
I agree with the key statement.
Yeah, I think we can all agree with the key statement. I mean, the key's gonna get old really fast.
Sorry, someday.
Gonna get old. It is old.
World's cutest MacGuffin. Yeah, it gets old before the end of this episode.
Like, Sorry herself, I can deal with. She's up to the point where Animated was released. She's probably one of the better humans between the end of G1 to now. She's no kicker, thank God.
Well, she's more of a female rad.
Female what?
Hi, I'm Rad. Let me tell you about the Transformers.
Oh, God.
His name was Rad, in case, yeah.
I kind of disagree with Kevin on Blitzwing's voice, as I said earlier. Yes, I know it is just an Arnold impression but like you said, Michael, I like the interaction between the three personalities.
Yeah.
So thank you to Kevin. Steve, did you want to anything else you want to respond to Kevin's little clip there?
I disagree with his comment about Prime. Granted, it was different to hear that right off the bat, being that you normally, would expect, you'd expect Peter Cullen or Gary Chalk, being that those were the only two pretty much that actually made a friggin' difference between the original and now.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a nice touch because, like you said, he's a green leader. He's brand new. It adds to the young feel of him.
Yeah. And as a first-time viewer, Kevin might not know that later on in the series they explain how he ended up in that position and the fact that he is a hero.
Right, and Kevin might not also know because he has never watched the series about Black Arachnia, where it's not just them inserting Black Arachnia from Beast Wars as a reference. It is that has a whole other character arc in the series.
She's not just a Beast Wars reference; she's a G1 reference. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to
love
that.
it.
What I will say about Transformers Animated, they truly created their own Cybertronian culture. I mean, if you look at it on a whole, and I'm sure we'll do this once we get to the end of the podcast, but if you look at it on a whole, everything in this series, it's a reference to most stuff. Some stuff there's a lot of references, but it's not just references. There are reasonings within this continuity for what happens.
Right. It was very well thought out.
Yeah, it was so very well thought out. So thank you for joining us here on Transformation Animation Podcast. There's some ways to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com. You can comment on each episode post. We've had to go to a login thing for comments now because of a few people just spamming random posts for comments. And it's not spam like, visit my site, blah. It's, leave the show feedback in iTunes. Transformation Animation Podcast is in iTunes now, so you can leave feedback over there. You can follow us on Twitter. The show name there is TFA Podcast. Mine is TFG1 Mike. Michael, what is your Twitter?
PecanCT Michael.
Steve?
SCP-21.
Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/GeekCast Radio Network. We are now up to 239 fans. Thank you so much. You can call the voicemail line. Tell us the show you're leaving the message for and your name, screen name, whatever you want to use. It's 502-526-5821.
Join the voicemail.
No.
Join the voicemail.
Fuck you guys. I feel like Cartman. Fuck you guys.
Yes, yeah. I'm going home.
He's already there.
Yeah. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Transformation Animation Podcast. I wish you will join us next time. We'll be reviewing 3 more episodes from Transformers Animated Season 1. Those being Home is Where the Spark Is, Total Meltdown, and Blast from the Past. For now, I am TFG1 Mike with
Michael Wilson
and Steve Megatron Phillips.
We'll tap you again next week. And for the first couple weeks, we are going to go weekly. I do have a plan. I want to try it out and see how the weekly goes. If we need more time, we'll go to bi-weekly. But next week, we have a super special surprise. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to anyway. Next week... Shut up. What do you mean, boo? You're the one
No, I said no, don't tell them.
Oh.
It's our little secret.
Fine.
Although, if they wanted a hint, all they'd have to do is go to the featured guest page and then put 2 and 2 together to figure out who's still missing the actual link to their interview.
Yes, exactly. Well, actually, there's 2 people, but that's another topic for another show. Anyway. But yes, next week we will have a super awesome interview along with recording episode 2 of TAPS, so we will see you then.
Tap that ass.
I was just waiting for that.